Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's a little bit special. Now is a holiday season. Everybody try to be busy and try to be multitasking. That's what I meant. So when my wife is shopping, I hope I can utilize this time to do some work for my audience, hopefully. Okay, in today's talk, I'm going to say more about the unique method of my language theory. That is acquisition, instantiology language acquisition. I talked about the 10 rules before. Looks like it gets some good response. But I want to say more about this because it's so unique, absolutely unique. I feel that I have to let you realize it, or you can tell your friends. Let your friends know that this is not another trick of learning foreign language. Why I'm saying it's unique? Oh, absolutely unique, because it's really not something you can pick up randomly. Well, you may say some other people are saying this before. Let me say this. If you don't have a deep theoretical foundation for this, you just randomly hit it, you probably are not going to stick to it or to utilize it to the full extent. To my knowledge, many language learners quit in the middle. They cannot continue anymore. It's because they are not able to pass the stage of being fluent or fluency stage. After you pass the fluency stage, that is, you can talk fluently, listening and writing to some extent, you probably will stay forever with that language. You are sort of married to that language, I believe. Otherwise, it's very likely you'll quit in the middle because you cannot continue anymore. It's too boring or too difficult for you. It doesn't make any sense for you, That is the thing. I was, as a major, learning the foreign language, mostly English, when I was in my 20s. I spent 4 years there in the foreign language department to learn English. For the first 2 years, as a student, you are most likely to be asked to practice your speaking, or oral English, they call it. And the third year and the fourth year, you expand your field to more things in language, such as writing, for the third year mostly, and the last year for your thesis. That's how the language students are structured in their studies for the 4 years. I remember vividly. After I tried my method for 2 months during the vacation, when I was at the first year as a freshman, and in class, when the foreign experts, we say foreign teachers, asked me to talk and to have a conversation, I can do it instantly, and to everybody's surprise. I remember that vividly. It's not because I'm sort of cleverer than other people. It's just because I got the right method to train myself. Hopefully, since this method was published several weeks ago, for anybody who come back, will tell me if it's effective on you or not, or what difficulty you have learning this way. And so I can have some feedback. If you make a progress, I'm very happy for you. If you have difficulties, I'll try to overcome your difficulties with you. And hopefully. Learning a language, basically, it's a mechanical, it's a repetition. The thing is, as a baby or child, that's a short-time memory plus repetition, mechanically repeating what they learned. They will remember it. But they didn't purposely repeat it. It's just by parents or other people repeating around them. But they, of course, they need very few reminder of repeating. They can learn it fast. That's probably the difference between so-called the one who can speak several languages and the one who didn't. Probably that's the difference. If you're smart, you can try shorter time. You will have shorter time learning it. Other people will spend more time to mechanically repeating this. Well, as an adult, the trick is you have to put this repeating short-term memory into long-term memory, so you can never forget anymore during a lifetime. So this is the trick. This method, the instant quality language acquisition, the core, the essence in the 10 rules I mentioned earlier is reading aloud new things each time. I call it R-A-N, run. The past tense of run. If you run, you will learn faster. All right. Let me say it a little bit more for the run method. Reading aloud new. To read it, many people know. Many language teachers told you to read. But they probably did not know why you need to read it. Because that's how language are learned, right? That's the only reason they can give to you. But in my theory, when I discovered reading so important is from the inner side of language acquisition. If you know some philosophy, you know, since Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher, discovered the rules, internal rules, to apply for experience or empirical facts, which changed the way people thinking about the world. Okay, so this is from my philosophical point of view, this is similar to that. I got this method from internal side of the language learning process. Basically, it's from how your brain function, how your thoughts function, how the symbols, the memory, the little pieces here and there, how can they get together to form a language from that point of view? If you want to know more, you can read other of my videos for this. But here I just want to stress, it's not accidental discovery. It's pretty serious stuff. You should learn it or practice it seriously. So, reading is basically to train your brain to control each part of your memory, to put all what you learned, let's say vocabulary, grammar, other rules in culture, everything together. Together, it's like a computer thing, you know. You have a CPU, right? Central Processing Unit. What does the CPU does? The CPU is to connect all the memory, all the data. Where is the data stored in your computer brain? It's in cache. Level 1 cache, level 2 cache. You know that? And if you need more space, you go to hard drives. And actually, every other board device has a memory too, or controller. Normally we call it controller, but for computer as a whole, you can call it the CPU. What I discovered is many people learn only from outside. The ulterior part of the learning process, how to memorize more vocabulary, how to memorize grammar, how to know rules, how to practice conversation, the ready-made sentences, or even text, the whole paragraph, things like that. But nobody noticed why a lot of people learn so many grammar, so many vocabulary, so many other conversation. They can memorize the whole passages of text, but they still cannot be fluently talking. That's the hard part, or the necessary stage before you can continue learning the foreign language. I find out it's because they don't have this inner analysis why language or how the languages function in your brain. So my theory basically gave me that foundation. And from that foundation, I discovered this method is most useful. As a foreign language student, we tried all kinds of learning methods. I mentioned a few in my other videos, like talking to each other, watch TV, watching films, and practice everyday conversation, try to memorize passages, things like that, many more. Or listening to the radio, of course. Remember, as I said before, 2 idioms we have to remember. First one, every road leads to Rome. Rome is a fluency point. If you do that method to such amount that is enough, you probably will acquire the language fluency. But most likely you won't, because you are adult. You don't have time to do that. So, what's the most efficient way? You have to find out. You want to do the most efficient. Another idiom is Rome is not built in one day. In other words, the level of fluency cannot be reached in one day. But it doesn't mean there's no more efficient way to do it. So that is my concern, and that is my method special about it. The REM method is so important. It's here. The reading to connect meanings, to familiarize in your brain the words, to make them connected like a central CPU, or controller, I call it, same thing. So you have to realize this. The second word is allowed. Well, it sounds pretty noisy, right? It's troublesome for other people when you read aloud. It's noise. But the thing is, it's better for you. There's several purposes for this. When you read aloud, you train your physical part of your mouth organs, how to cooperate with each other, coordinate with each other, to pronounce exact sound of that foreign language. Because as I said before, if you don't do this, your tongue or left soft palate or hard palate won't cooperate, won't reach that sound accurate enough to articulate that sound well enough. It's a definite. So no question about it. So you have to train your mouth physically to practice this till you are familiar with it. You can hit it once you pronounce it every time accurately. Not any not clear or different from the position your tongue should be at when you pronounce it. And another point is, when you read aloud, you basically train your ear to get familiar with the sound, so you can instantly recognize the meaning. You know, everything is a matter of a quantity to quality. You only by practicing listening enough to reach the point, your mind or your brain can recognize the meaning. As soon as it hears this sound, to that point, the quantity will be different. That is, it makes sense to your brain. For this practice, if you only listen to tapes or even radios, not enough, normally not enough, if you are doing other things. But I know people who can understand words but cannot say it. I know some language learner learn that way. It's sort of like a crippled learning method, resulted in that awkward situation. I know. But normally, before you reach the level of understanding, you got to be enough practice to reach that stage. So, physically training your mouth and training your ears, you train it yourself. See how many more, how big quantity you will have for your ear to get trained, which is not enough if you only listen to radios, conversation by others, or films, or TV, or talk show. No, that's not enough. It needs much much more. So, how do you do it? You do it yourself. Of course, the precondition for doing this is you have to get your pronunciation accurate. That's why I said before, your phonetics or pinyin, if you learn Chinese, or alphabet phonetics, if you learn English from the other side, accuracy is very important. Because if you don't have the accuracy, you basically trained your ear the wrong way. It will recognize bad sound. It won't understand the correct sound. So make sure the preconditions of pronouncing good enough, accurate enough to have yourself trained. And lastly, the word, the letter N, new. Why new? Because only new stuff, new reading materials every day will give you fresh meaning for old words. Only by associate the fresh meanings of each word from short-term memory to long-term memory, you can master the language. If you repeat a word or the sound or anything, the first time is fresh, the second time it's not, the third time is worse, the fourth time it's boring. You started to dislike it. All right? The brain has a function. If it's boring, it will have a rest itself, no matter what. That's why people, when listening to monotonous sound, sitting in the airplane or train, they will fall asleep. You cannot control it. Same thing here. If you repeat again, you'll fall asleep. The brain won't work. It won't take the words in. But when it's fresh, it has a different meaning each time. It will associate all the elements related to this. That's why the word new is very important. Of course, in the 10 rules, I talked about how to do it, how to mark down with new words or passages and things like that. You can read that part again if you didn't read it yet. Basically, this new thing, this new methodology, the core is run. You learn this, you got the essence, the core of it, for sure. When I get to the stage of being fluent or fluency, you basically already married to that language. In future, for you is how to write it, how to learn the cultural stuff, and expand into more fields of what you are interested. No matter what you do, you're a businessman, you're an engineer, you're a government official, diplomats, it doesn't matter. What matters is you have a basic function of talking, of using that language already. You passed a crucial stage of learning language. By that time, you won't give up it yourself. As a matter of fact, you want more and more each day. And I remember when I did it, first I started with 1 hour, and later 1 hour and a half, and later 2 hours, and 3 hours, or the full afternoon, I remember, because it's so exciting. It's so interesting. You just cannot stop. You are drawn into it. out of your self-control. You know why? Because your brain needs a food to chew. Your brain only work by language, by symbols. Well, unless you're a musician or mathematician, that's a different case. If you are not, language is the only source of food for your brain. As long as you are not sleeping. Well, even if you are sleeping, you are still dreaming. Dreaming with what? With the language. So, your brain needs a language to function. You'll feel more and more excited to do it. Alright, hopefully this explanation can strengthen or consolidate your understanding of this RAN method. And also let me know if you practice for 1 week or 2 weeks, what you feel. And did you make any progress or do you have any difficulties? And we can discuss here. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your language learning. See you next time. Bye-bye.